What's going on, everybody? My name is Nick.
My name is Dave.
And this is the Deep Dive, and it's kind of a special deep dive, a year-end deep dive, as we would say, and
Last one of the year.
a Christmas time one. We're just celebrating all the good stuff.
That's right. Here, and this is number 93,
We're
94.
closing in on 100.
Yeah.
I think we talked about one time, and it was going to be sometime mid-February, so that sounds about right.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
Okay.
Well, Dave, as we are here wrapping up, as we are kind of approaching the Christmas season, or
1 week
Christmas
from today.
time. Yeah, one week from today. Well, when
Well,
we're
we're recording this, yes.
So, do you have any fun Christmas traditions that you guys do?
That we do.
Yeah.
I don't think anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And we haven't really landed here recently on like a tradition we do every year. Last year we were at home. This year we'll be in North Carolina. How about you
Where
guys?
the kids are, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
For us, most of our traditions kind of happen before Christmas Day, actually. Like this past weekend we went and did like a tour of some lights, found some of the hot spots for the lights on Cherokee Connect, which shout out people from Cherokee Connect. Y'all hit the nail on the head this year.
Yeah.
We just went to like two people's like family houses, and they always sync the music up to, or the lights up to the music. And then we went over to Dixie Speedway. Have you done that with those lights yet?
I never even thought about it.
They just, I don't know if this is the first year or not, but this is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. They had a pretty good, nice little, like it's like a 2-mile drive around.
It makes
it was
sense.
pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and you also have a birthday.
I do have a birthday coming up.
December, almost
23rd. It's just, if you want to give me a gift, no, I'm just joking. Don't give me anything. But yep, I'll be 39.
All right, one more year for you.
I know before a 0 at the
Yeah.
end, but we'll have a fun time celebrating. We actually celebrated a little bit last night, but yeah, it'll be good.
Well, let's talk a little bit about yesterday. Yesterday we had an
Yesterday was packed.
incredible day at church. It was really good because there was no sermon.
Yeah, thank goodness. Right? That guy can go a little long-winded.
I know,
But
the choir just knocked the ball out of the park. I mean, it was.
They really did.
It was just fantastic.
And the drama people, the people who read some of the excerpts, were very
kids choir singing.
Yeah, just really. I have to admit, we actually were a little bit like, we arrived like 2 or 3 minutes before. Just one of those mornings, getting everybody ready, but pulling in, it was like, oh, the front's full. Oh, the sides, like, I was parked in the back, and I was like, man, this is kind of cool.
Well,
You know what I mean?
There were people in the gravel lot over there.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. It was good energy, and shout out to all those people who sang, who played, and even a lot of work behind the scenes, not just for the stream, but the lights were on point. All that good. It was really good.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched it yet, just go on YouTube or Facebook or to our homepage and take a look at it, because it really is just something you want to sit down and watch, but also maybe just to have in the background. Put it up on YouTube on the TV and have it up there as you're cooking Christmas goodies and that sort of thing. So it was very beautiful music, very well done.
It's definitely something you could replay for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's great. Well, we're winding down the year here at Hickory Flat. Not much stuff left.
Not much. We do have a couple things coming up this week, kind of Christmas. We have the longest night service.
Right, that is
Thursday.
On December
21st.
21st. And if you're not familiar with that service, sometimes they call it a Blue Christmas, and it's typically done on or around the longest night of the year.
Right.
And it's really recognizing and creating a space for people who may be struggling through this Christmas time.
Right.
I mean, you read the statistics around people that have depression and things like that in Christmas, when a lot of people are having like a lot of holiday parties and there's a lot of cheer. A lot of folks are really struggling.
Yeah.
And specifically maybe folks that have lost a loved one in this past year, and this will be their first Christmas without that person around the Christmas tree, or it's just been a terrible year for them for other reasons, like financially, or maybe a lost relationship, or health concerns, that sort of things that people are facing. And so this acknowledges that.
Yeah.
That even though we in church lots of times it's all about celebration, it's all about big parties and that sort of things.
Right.
It's just saying, yeah, we acknowledge you, we hear you, that it's a difficult time. And so it's a very quiet and almost contemplative kind of service with some nice music, with some nice readings, with a time to go and to light a candle, which is not something in the Methodist Church we do typically a lot.
Yeah.
But I have found a very powerful thing in those services, because I almost always will remember folks that I'm missing here at Christmas, relatives and friends that have passed away. So that is this Thursday night. Not sure when you'll be watching this, but I really do invite you. And even if you're, this is a really good year and a really good Christmas, to come just out of support and empathy for those, so that we can be around them and pray with them. And,
it's kind of a way as a church we can kind of put our arms around those who might be hurting a little bit, and it's definitely cool. It's a good time.
Yeah. And then we get to Christmas Eve, which is on a Sunday this year.
It's a little weird.
It is. It happens.
Always kind of throws us for a loop, because we're
about every 7 years. Yeah. It really is. It's actually, I like it better than when you have like Christmas Eve on like a Saturday and then Christmas Day on a Sunday.
Year,
yeah, that's hard, because what do you do on Christmas Day? Because people are usually with their families, but you got to have a service,
right?
And so it's a lot for church musicians and staff and and volunteers and things,
for sure.
But this year it is on Christmas Eve, and so what we finally arrived at was doing just 2 services. We usually do 2 Christmas Eve services, but they're usually at 5 and 7. Right. We're kind of moving it back to 10 and 5. But they will be, and just so you know, you can come to both of them if you want to, but they'll be almost identical.
Right.
We'll be having the same sermon, the same program as far as music and that sort of stuff. And so if you're got family from out of town, and I promise you it won't be a long service, we'll be within an hour. Come out and and celebrate the reason for the season.
Absolutely.
We're doing it online only on the 31st, which is New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
A lot of people are traveling and out of town and that sort of thing. So and just to let you kind of behind the curtain, most of that's already recorded.
Yeah.
I've already recorded my sermon for Christmas, for New Year's Eve. But there'll be a nice message and some music and stuff that will be posted online at our regular service times. But really, anytime during the New Year Eve and New Year's Day, I think it'll be appropriate to listen to that.
So that's kind of what we have going on. But Dave, we don't, because there was no sermon, we don't really have anything to overly deep dive about today.
Yeah.
But something we kind of talked about doing was, what are some of the highlights from the year that you can think of? Just maybe something that stood out that you're like, that was a really cool thing we did this year at Hickory Flat.
Well, I mean, a lot of them would be the typical ones that we've had.
Yeah.
The
Trunk or Treat,
VBS.
Yeah.
The Easter was a great time. But what I was thinking about, like, what was happened this year that was new and was different that we can celebrate. And so, what are some of the things that you would look at as some of those high points for us?
I don't know that this is necessarily a new thing. It's probably actually an old thing that was maybe a little bit revived, but the church work day that we did, where we sent a couple teams out into the community to help some people around. I think they went to a school, to a women's shelter, to a couple church members' houses to help clean up and stuff around. I just thought that was a cool time, to watch the church come together to not just clean the building, but also help out in the community.
Yeah, those were great. We've had 2 of them now, and I think we'll continue to have, 2 or 3 of them a year. And it really is a great time, to work together side by side and, to be in service together. So I love that too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of the things that I was thinking about was the drama ministry.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that's been done in the past, but kind of got brought back this year. Mm-hmm. And, I was all for it. I've, preached at churches where we've had some drama in the past, but they do such a terrific job.
Yeah.
And, we usually shout out to them whenever we have a really particular good one, because it makes my job preaching easy, because we try to coordinate them with the sermon, and it's a great sermon lead in. So, hats off to the drama ministry for that work this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could sit here and do, I think of the youth mission trip and watching Sarah bring together a lot of the church to come be a part of that with the kids. And, I thought that was cool.
Where the youth doubled in size this year.
Yeah.
And
just
that's fantastic.
numerically.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of growth actually through our ministries and stuff like that. The children's had some growth. The youth had some growth.
Right.
And, even in the service, we've had some growth.
Yeah.
It has been a good year at Hickory Flat, and we feel very blessed, especially, when you consider a lot of the turmoil that was around this year and some of the challenges. Honestly, that the admin council, we're staring at each other, kind of worried about for a couple meetings. You know what I mean? Like,
I
there's a lot of stuff that's happened.
I'm very proud that we kind of stayed above the fray and really, tried to focus on our mission and vision for this year. And so, I think that's good, and we find ourselves in a really good shape as we get to the end of this year.
Well, and not to hype you up overly, but I think that's a lot of leadership on your behalf to kind of lead us into that. And I still think of the end of one of our town halls where we got around a circle, we held hands, and that was kind of, to me, it was very symbolic of like, we're going to get through, we're all going to get through this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we just focus on doing what God's called us to do here in Hickory Flat, and let the rest of the cards play out how they will. And
sure. Well,
so
yeah,
I thought that was cool.
And it's as we look on to next year, and I'll just to give you kind of a preview of what my sermon will be on the last day of the year, and that one I've already recorded. The title of the sermon is "What's Next?"
Yeah.
And I really feel that that's kind of where we are and where we should be. I think maybe all the time, but certainly in the seasons of like the new year is, say, God, what is next? What's next? Because I can only imagine there were things that have happened this past year that if we were like a year ago sitting here doing this podcast, we couldn't have even imagined.
Yeah.
And so I see God's sort of creative handiwork already happening to sort of set us up for some new and exciting vistas in ministry this year that could be pretty exciting and bring, some growth, maybe numerically, but more importantly, spiritually, to us here as a community at Hickory Flat.
Yeah, and I wanna rehash a little bit of just, another. I know we've kind of moved on, but another cool part that you reminded me of was the Fresh Expressions.
Yeah,
the workshop that we kind of did had Sharon come down, Sharon Carafonda, and
Shannon Carafonda is a fantastic person.
Yes.
But it was Heather Gillard.
Oh, it was Heather Gillard. I'm sorry. That's my bad.
People get them confused.
I know.
They're both fantastic. Yeah.
But had her come down and lead that workshop for us. And I just remember people kind of getting that spark.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage, if that was anybody who was listening or whatever, to don't let that spark just kind of fizzle out. Keep tending to it a little bit and see what pops up, because I think some things around here, even like the care ministry and stuff like that, have really been birthed out of just a desire and a heart people had.
We didn't even mention that. That's been one of the most awesome things this year is the care ministry.
Right.
And a lot of those kind of existed already, but just coming together, united in ministry, and getting that thing coordinated in just an incredible way. That's just a amazing ministry that's happening at Hickory Flat now.
Right.
Yeah.
So we consider kind of what's next, and and a lot of us, I think, on staff would agree that we really want to empower laity. We want to continue to empower you guys to seek God and to use your gifts and talents. But I know as an administrative council, we've said that we want to help cultivate community. Even more so in the next coming year.
Particularly in the area, and that is a goal specifically, I should say, in the area of our families that have young children and teenagers too. But God has blessed us this year. There were some who are already there, but some are new. Some are just visiting. But we suddenly find ourselves with a pretty good size of young families, and there's other things that they can plug into, but we haven't done as an intentional job as we could with specifically providing for some of those needs. And so we've already had one meeting with them. We're going to add a couple of young family adults, people in that category, onto our church council to hear from them and to create some new ministries. So that's something to look forward to. That's what's next for next year. And I can't wait to see what becomes of that. That's going to be incredible.
It will be fun. It will be fun. I'm excited for next year. I think every year you kind of look back and go, wow, that was a crazy year. Sometimes it felt like a blitz. But then you get that fresh slate, and you're like, yeah, let's look forward, And I know something we've, shared, pulling the curtains back a little bit. Something we've talked about internally and staff and stuff like that is looking at ways that we can do more united in ministry stuff, things that we can do together.
Right.
I think the places where we've seen where we've all kind of come together to work on a project, whether it was the pumpkin patch or these work days or whatever, it seems to be some of the best stuff that we do together. And like watching the relationships build, the small jokes and stuff, also like really community coming together
for sure
is awesome in that space.
For sure.
And then to take that energy and then focus into our community. I think there's going to be some cool things.
Yeah, and another thing I'm real excited about is Juan Quintanilla, and we'll get him on the podcast earlier in next year.
Absolutely.
For us to get to know him. But Juan is a friend I've known for years. He's a pastor in this conference, and he has had tremendous. He's going to be joining our church staff,
right?
At least for 6 months.
Yep.
Here during this displacement time. And hopefully for longer than that,
right.
if things can work out. But Juan has such great experience in starting Hispanic ministries and Hispanic congregations.
Yep.
And you just have to look just around into Canton and realize what a mission field that is.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen with that, I don't know. But I'm pretty excited to see, and imagine the possibilities of what could become of that.
Yeah. And it's cool because there's actually a little old Hickory Flat tied with Juan, as his son used to play in our praise
band,
team and stuff like that. So we've kind of been,
it's gonna be
in relationship with that family at some level for a while.
Yeah. So that's going to be kind of a natural thing. I think he fits. He came to our staff Christmas party.
Yeah.
Just fit right in. He and his wife Laura. So they're going to be a great addition to our church staff next year. And it's just it'll be amazing to be at this time next year and be reflecting on what 24 brought to us. I know that part of the what's next, though, I would say is that there's some stuff that we need to kind of leave behind as well. And it was a difficult year, especially for some of our United Methodist colleagues and other churches. And it's time to move on now. It's time to move on and be the church and continue on the mission and ministry of making disciples for Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that.
I am too.
Yeah.
It'll be good to kind of, I guess maybe pull that Band-Aid or get that weight off our shoulders, whatever phrase you want to use to kind of sum that up. It'll be good to kind of just get back to the basics of what church does.
And it's felt this way this month. I mean, it's really felt. I see God alive here, and it's just there's so much excitement in worship services and other ministries. People seem to be excited about the church, and it's fun to be the pastor when you're going through times like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Podcasts, I think we'll kind of hit a similar, we'll keep doing what we're doing and get some guests back on here. I think it's been fun. Like, I appreciate Jason Zemke stepping up and being in my role last week. And, I think those are fun times where we get to share this with other people. And like you said, we're coming up on 100. Yeah. That'll be quite a...
One thing that I mentioned as we kind of get to the close is that when we do, we're not going to be meeting on the 31st, but we will be back in church for the first time of the year on well, it's actually the first Sunday of the year, but it's January 7th. And that's going to be a really special day because our district superintendent.
So please come.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Beth Sanders, who's actually my boss, but a friend to this church, is going to be here, and she's a wonderful speaker and preacher, and she'll be preaching for us that day. But we will have Holy Communion, and then the thing that I've done the last couple of years with the Star Words for Epiphany.
Yeah.
And so if you're not familiar with that, just there are words. There's nothing magical about it, but it's just kind of an intentional thing. There's some words on there, and it might be leadership or grace or silence. Or what? Do you remember your word from last year?
Silence. Yeah, I joked with you that you were telling me to shut up for the year.
Yours was silence last year.
This 2023 was silence. And, as I was reflecting on that, actually recently I was reflecting on it, and, that actually culminated into, we did a Bible study early in the year with the Practicing the Way, and our first topic was Sabbath.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of space of learning how to be comfortable in that silence and stuff like that. And then, just periodically through the year, it just kept popping up as I was finding myself in times where I was able to be more reflective and contemplative in some spaces. So
well, good. I'm glad it worked for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't magic, but it was something that kind of popped into my head a lot.
Well, I don't want to make it into like a horoscope or anything like that.
Yeah.
But people have really the testimonies have come out of people's Star Words. Pretty incredible. Almost every year I'll have people come and saying, I've had this word and, I've really focused on it and, it's made a difference. And so, we'll be doing that again on the 7th. And so look forward to that. And, there's also, I've sent those by email for people who are watching online and stuff like that. So, we want to get you one whenever. But anyway, it's been a great year, Nick. Really enjoyed sharing this journey and look forward to more continued adventures.
That's right.
As we go into 24. So Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
And Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to all of you. This is the last one for the year. We'll take next week off, but we'll be back the next week. And probably I'll have Beth for that one.
That'd be awesome.
The next one we'll probably interview Beth. So anyway, have that to look forward to. And I know this has been a little bit of a different kind of podcast today, but hopefully it's been fun and entertaining.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you've got any memories from the past year, something that you had that was particularly fun for you guys. Always fun to interact in those spaces. So you can do that on the Facebook, you can do that on the YouTube, or you can shoot us an email and just let us know something that maybe stood out to you about this year.
All right.
But without further ado,
all right.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you next year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Take care.